The last tile cleaning video that I made was meant to answer the most frequently asked question that I would get from my tile cleaning customers after I cleaned their floor. Almost every single one would ask me, now that my grout is clean, how do I keep it that way? You can check out that video here and down in the description. But apparently a lot of people who saw that video wanted to know how to deep clean their grout, how to restore their grout to a like-new condition so that they could then begin to implement the steps that I outlined. Well, the short answer is hire a professional. But I'm going to clue you into some things that you can do in case you do want to spend your time on your hands and knees scrubbing your floor. Oh yeah, spoiler alert, there's a lot of scrubbing involved. But before I get to that, I want to address some of the questions that came up a bunch in the last video. The first is, what is that machine that I'm using? I didn't talk about it because that video was meant to focus on maintaining your flooring using tools and materials that are accessible to anybody, and a $30,000 machine that requires being mounted in a van doesn't fit that description. That said, the machine that I use is a HydroMaster Max 470. They don't make it anymore, but they still make machines that put out comparable or even better heat and suction as the Max 470. The tool that you actually see in the videos cleaning the floor is a HydroForce Gecko. It connects to the Max 470 and delivers high pressure hot water that blasts the dirt from the grout, extracts it from the floor, and then deposits it back into the recovery tank on the van. You'll also sometimes see me use an advanced Matador all-purpose 20 floor machine to scrub the floors. It's another machine that's no longer made, and that's a tragedy because it is simply the best floor machine ever made. I also have a smaller portable machine that I use in situations when I can't access the job with the van, such as high-rise apartments and office buildings. It comes with a $3,000 price tag, which is far less than a truck-mounted unit, but it's still not cost-effective for the average homeowner to clean their kitchen floor with. There were a lot of questions and comments about how great steam mops are. Steam mops are great at loosening dirt because they use steam. Steam is just really hot water, and heat is a very important part of removing dirt from grout. So it's nice that there's an inexpensive option to be able to use steam to clean your grout. The problem with steam mops is that they have the same liability as any other mop. You're relying on a piece of fabric to absorb the dirty water and remove it from the floor. Inevitably, you end up just smearing the dirty water all over the floor, forcing the dirt into every crack, crevice, and grout line. Extractors like the machines that I use solve this problem by spraying a rinsing solution onto the floor and then sucking all of the dirty water off the floor. This prevents the dirt from being redeposited elsewhere on the floor. Fortunately, now the average homeowner has access to hard surface extractors. One of the machines that a lot of people were talking about in the comments of the last video was the Bissell Crosswave. There were some other makes and models mentioned, but the Crosswave was the one that came up the most. So I bought one to test it, review it, and see if it's the answer to all of your grout cleaning prayers. So let's see how it works. Oh, okay, so that's interesting. It's got like a microfiber or something, a brush, but then it's also got these orange bristles that are stiff, much stiffer than the rest of it. Oh, that's a tiny little bottle of cleaner. What is this? Just 8 ounces. Okay, so you got a filter there, and that's the wastewater. All right, and then this is where solution goes. Okay, so right out of the box, I can see a big negative to a machine like this, which is really sort of nitpicky considering the price, but this doesn't make heat. It doesn't heat the water. It doesn't have a heating element in it to heat the water, which doesn't mean that it's not going to clean well. It just means that you have to compensate for the lack of heat in other ways. You see, there are 5 essential elements required for cleaning anything: water, agitation, time, chemical, and heat. Water refers to the water that you mix with your chemical pre-spray or the water that you extract with. Chemical is the cleaner that you use. For a deep restorative cleaning, you could use either an alkaline or an acidic cleaner. Time refers to allowing the cleaner time to dwell on the floor. Cleaners very rarely work instantly, and usually they need time to soak into the dirt to emulsify it. Dwell time can save you a whole lot of elbow grease, which is the next piece of the pie. Agitation is the elbow grease. Scrubbing the grout or floor or whatever you're cleaning is important to loosen the soil and evenly spread the cleaner across the floor. And finally, heat. Heat is like a turbo boost to your cleaning. Heating your cleaning solution by mixing it with hot water instead of cold water will increase its efficacy quite a bit. But the real advantage of heat comes with heating your rinse water. The pie works like this. If you decrease any of these elements, you must increase one or more of the others. Let's use the steam mop we mentioned before as an example. The steam mop doesn't use any chemical, so the chemical portion of the pie is eliminated. There also really isn't any dwell time required, so we can nix the time slice too. A steam mop doesn't really agitate, but there is a pad making contact with the floor, so we'll just shrink the agitation piece instead of zeroing it out. To compensate for the lack of chemical, dwell time, and agitation, we have to increase the amount of water that we use, and we turn the heat way up. Similarly, a dry cleaner using dry chemical solvents to clean delicate garments uses no water at all, so the chemical piece of the pie is increased to compensate for the lack of water. Say you didn't want to use water, chemical, or heat. You could just scrub the dirt out of the grout, but that obviously wouldn't be a very efficient way to go about it. But enough of the theory. Let's see how this thing actually cleans. Always start by vacuuming. Vacuuming is the key to keeping things clean, and it will prevent the dirt on the floor from being turned into mud when we add water from the Crosswave. So I filled this from the sink. I filled the water to the large area fill line because I've looked all over and it doesn't explain what large area and small area mean. It would be nice if that was expressed in square footage, but this is what we have to work with. Okay, so we've got 113 degrees. That's more than 100 degrees below what I'm used to cleaning with. And this is only gonna get cooler as we go. So that's the first drawback to this machine that I can see. We fill it to the formula line, put the cap back on, and we stick it in the machine. It's been over that little booger right there. How many times?
3, 4, 6 times.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I expected. So I'm just gonna go back over this section right here where we've already cleaned. And this is an acidic tile cleaner. We're gonna set a timer here for 3 minutes and let that dwell. I'm gonna scrub this. I'm not gonna scrub all of it though. I'm just gonna scrub right here. Just there, and then we're gonna hit the rest of this with the machine. Now I thought I was gonna have to wait until this dried to be able to see the difference, but it's pretty obvious while it's still wet. You can see just how dirty this line is, and then it gets clean, and then it gets dirty again. Obviously this brush, it's not aggressive enough, or probably long enough to get to the grout lines. Okay. So the vacuum tank is full. That's the other downside to these small machines, is that the recovery tank fills up very quickly, and so you have to stop and dump that frequently. I mean, this is however many square feet, and we didn't even finish. Oh, there's the full line right there. Yeah. So, does not hold very much.
That's really deceiving. You've got this huge amount here, so you think you're going to be able to do...
But it needs all that headspace to create lift. So how do you dump it? Oh, that whole lid comes off. Okay. So we'll dump that and get back to it.
Nothing locks into place either.
This suction holds it closed.
I like that it goes right up to the edge, because that was hard even with like your floor machine.
Yeah.
I wish it was a little more narrow to get like underneath here.
Yeah.
But
So what do I think of the Bissell Crosswave? To start, I just want to say that I'm biased. I'm looking at this machine through my lens of 20 years as a cleaning professional. So it's hard for me to not compare this consumer-grade hard surface extractor to the pro equipment that I'm used to using. But what I will say after using this machine is that I think the worst extractor is always going to be better than the best mop. And I think that this is a mop killer. I paid $250 for this machine, which is obviously more expensive than a mop. However, I think it's going to keep your floor cleaner than a mop will, which is going to diminish your need for more expensive and labor-intensive restorative cleanings, which is going to save you money in the long run because the machine will ultimately pay for itself. That is, of course, unless you have to buy a new one every year. If you're looking for a silver bullet that's going to restore your filthy grout, though, this is not it. Not by itself, anyway. I think this machine is a great tool for maintaining your flooring between restorative cleanings, and I think it could even help out in a restorative cleaning. But you are going to have to compensate in the areas where it falls short. There's plenty of water to rinse with, but the machine doesn't have a heating element. That means you're limited to the temperature of the water that you get from your faucet, and that's only going to get cooler as you clean. For context, so you understand what I'm talking about, the machine that you see me using here melts the dirt away because it's heating the water to about 270 degrees. Then by the time it snakes its way through 150 to 200 feet of solution line, it's cooled down a bit to somewhere around 200 degrees. Meanwhile, I filled the Crosswave with 113 degree water from the kitchen sink, and after cleaning for 12 minutes, the temperature had dropped to below 90 degrees. It says that you can put up to 140 degree water in the tank, which would give you a boost, but it will still lose that heat the longer you clean. It has a rotating brush to scrub the floor, but it's meant for a flat floor. It'll scrub the hell out of the tile, but it just doesn't get down to the grout, which renders it fairly well useless for cleaning grout. It uses a cleaning solution that goes in the rinse tank. This means the cleaning solution gets almost no dwell time on the floor, which means that you have to go over trouble areas more often with more passes, which uses more cleaning solution, which means you have to refill the rinse tank more often and dump the recovery tank more often. Personally, if I were using this machine, I would pre-spray the floor with a neutral cleaner like Bona stone tile and laminate cleaner, and then go over the whole floor with the machine using only hot water in the rinse tank. If I were going to do a restorative cleaning on my grout, I would pre-spray the floor with an alkaline cleaner like Formula 409 and let it dwell for a few minutes. Then I would scrub the floor, including the grout lines, and then I would go over it with the Crosswave, again with the rinse tank filled with nothing but hot water. The longer you allow the cleaner to dwell on the floor, the less scrubbing you'll have to do. Of course, you don't want to let it dwell so long that it dries out, but you do want to let it do most of the work. After that, if there were some spots that didn't come quite clean enough or some stains on the grout, I would go over the floor with an acidic cleaner like CLR or this product that you can get at Big Orange or Big Blue. Of course, you want to be careful using products like this because they can damage your stainless steel appliances and they can make your cheap MDF baseboard swell. Also, if you plan to seal your grout after you clean it with a product like Stone Pro Sealer, here's an important tip. Grout is cement and cement is naturally alkaline. Grout sealer is typically formulated to bond with alkaline cement. So if you do choose to use an acidic cleaner, you should neutralize the acid by going over the floor again with an alkaline cleaner. Just spraying the floor with ammonia and then rinsing it off should be enough to neutralize the acid. If you're one of the few who are lucky enough to have epoxy grout, you don't need to worry about sealing at all. In fact, I think you'd be able to maintain your floor just by using the Crosswave and following the manufacturer's instructions. Speaking of manufacturer's instructions, I should add that I don't know anything about the internal workings of this machine or how well it'll hold up to high or low pH cleaners running through it. So you should probably stick to the cleaner that it comes with and follow the instructions on the box. I think Bissell would probably agree with me on that. But hey, buy the ticket, take the ride. Well, between this video and the last one, I think that's just about everything I know about cleaning tile and grout. Give it a like if you found it helpful. It doesn't cost you anything and it helps me out a bunch. If you have any questions that I missed, go ahead and leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them as best I can. There are links to all the products that I mentioned in this video so you can check them out for yourself. Always do your own research. I've got a lot of big plans coming up, so be sure you subscribe and hit the little bell notification so that you don't miss any of it. And thanks for taking the time to watch my video.